These comments from President Trump about North Korean dictator Kim Jong Un sending the media into a total tailspin.
He's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. Don't let anyone think anything different.
Right.
He speaks and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
Now, the president later said it was a joke, but that didn't stop these headlines, like the Washington Post calling it dictator envy and Politico saying Donald dreams of dictators. So is the media making diplomacy and the art of the deal for something negative? Here to debate, Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright and former State Department press officer Morgan Ortagus. Good morning.
Good morning.
Antoine, let me start with you. Is the media just blowing this comment, which was intended as a joke, according to the president? Is he blowing it out? Are they blowing it out of proportion?
Well, we don't know what to take serious and what not to take serious with this president. All we do know is that we tend to respond, whether we're a supporter of the president or not, to what he gives us. And the truth of the matter is this president has a history of flirting with this idea or thought process of some dictatorship-like behavior. For instance, wanting to jail his political opponents, speaking to Hillary Clinton. So we don't know what to take serious and what to take not. What I've always been taught is that there's always an element of seriousness to every joke.
Morgan, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, so I think it was clearly a joke, and I actually think that there's a strategy behind the flattering words that the president has had for Kim Jong Un lately. Most of this presidency, President Trump has been incredibly tough on Kim Jong Un. In fact, the same media that are now criticizing him for what I think was a clear joke said that he was on the brink to leading America to nuclear war. So I think what you saw for at least a full year of his presidency was very tough rhetoric on North Korea, very tough rhetoric on Kim Jong Un. Now that he's met with him, he's trying to get to a deal. So I think he is sort of playing good cop in this administration, and he's letting Secretary Pompeo, Ambassador Bolton, they've had incredibly tough words for North Korea. They said that the sanctions are still in place until they see some good faith act on North Korea to legitimately denuclearize. So I think that my assessment is what you're seeing in this administration, the president's paying good cop, trying to get a deal done, and he's letting his deputies sort of take on that tougher role.
But Morgan, that is very unstable, and it is a different style of behavior when it comes to foreign policy. And even the UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, spoke to the unstableness or the unpredictability when it comes to this president in North Korea and just his way of doing foreign policy. And I think that sets a very dangerous precedent for future leaders, because this is bigger than President Trump. This is bigger than this administration. This sets a precedent for future leaders who will come after him.
But Antoine, hold on. Is this not the president's path of diplomacy? I mean, this is his whole plan. We saw President Obama has met with controversial leaders. Fidel Castro comes to mind, among others. Is this not, and Morgan, I want you to respond to this, is this not a part of a larger plan?
Clearly, it's a part of a good faith negotiation. I think a lot of people have used the examples of President Obama meeting with these leaders, which is a legitimate comparison. However, I think the difference is that in those negotiations, those countries like Cuba, they were criticized at the time because sanctions were relieved, because there was penalties taken off of the table before you even saw the other side come to any sort of deal. So the difference in what we're seeing in North Korea is sanctions are still in place, the threat of force is still there, but the president's backing off, saying, I'm willing to make a good deal here.
Antoine, let me give you the last word.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference. I think the biggest difference is the hypocrisy we see from the right about the idea of even speaking to or talking with dictators. I'm old enough to remember the right exploding when President Obama said he was willing to meet with some of our enemies.
Can I make a point here, though? But here's the big difference on North Korea. Here's the big difference. North Korea now has the capability to hit us. They have some of the most sophisticated cyber warfare and nuclear technology in the world. This is a different case than what we've seen before, because the chickens finally came home to roost with North Korea. We're just in a different place.
Well, there we have it. Antoine, it's Father's Day. We got to move on. We got to do things. But thank you. We did have at least an early morning fight. Antoine Seawright and Morgan Ortagus, thanks very much for being here, guys.
Thank you.